title. We're ranking Spider-Man games. This might be a long video, so y'all might as well sit back, eat whatever snacks you're eating, drink your sippy cup, drink your juice, drink your liquor. It all depends on what age you are. Now let's get into it. So there's a lot of Spider-Man games. I've had to write this down. Like I have to literally write this down. That's how many there was. So we're gonna start off with the bottom and going up to the top. So 14, Spider-Man friend or foe has to go at the bottom of my list. I ain't gonna lie, friend or foe, the idea of it was cool, but the fact that you had to like the fighting and all that, it gets repetitive. The story is repetitive. All you doing is running around, fighting in different cities, and at the end, you fight one of the enemies, and then next thing you know, they tag up with you. So you do your little fighting. Then at the end, you fight Green Goblin. Now Green Goblin joins you. Then you do it again. Doc Ock joins you, and so on. Don't get me wrong. Playing as the other villains and stuff, that shit fire. I ain't gonna lie. One thing I would say that I did like was the versus thing. Like, you know, say if you got two controllers and you would have 1v1 each other or something, it's fire for that. I admit that much. It's fire for that. That means you can pick whoever you want. So if you unlock all the villains, you could be Doc Ock, someone else can be playing as Venom, and y'all just fighting each other. So yeah, that was fire. You know, I ain't gonna be stuck on friend or foe for too long. Number 13, we have to go to Amazing Spider-Man 2. The game. That game, it wasn't all that. I ain't gonna lie. Like, the story was basic. It didn't really follow up too much with the actual movie. Like, you were thinking Electro would be the final boss. It was Carnage, and the story leading up to it wasn't really all that good. It did have Craven in it, but that's a version of Craven I don't really care for. Like Craven in the Spider-Man 3 game was better, and in Marvel Spider-Man 2 it was, you know, those versions was better. But the one in this one, you know, the only thing I say that was interesting is that he trains you. He tries to help you become stronger. So, and the next thing you know, he betrays you and he tries to kill you. But overall, the game wasn't all that. I will say fighting Kingpin was fun in that game, I admit. And it was funny with Spider-Man throwing a lot of fat jokes to him. That was hilarious. You know, the beginning of the game started off with Uncle Ben getting shot. Like, that happened in the first movie, so why didn't that happen in the first game? Why did it happen in the second game? Like, the story didn't make any sense to me. You know, so on the number 12 spot, we got The Amazing Spider-Man in the first one. I actually enjoyed this game. I played this game a lot more than the second game. It was good, you know, but it wasn't one of my favorites. It wasn't a game for me to go back and binge play over and over and over. It wasn't on that. But I did like that they kept the stealthiness. I did like that. That game introduced the web rush. You know, it was in both of the Amazing Spider-Man games. I do like the web rush idea. It's cool. You know, I like that. Sucks that they got rid of it in Marvel Spider-Man, but hey, what can you do? You know, it did follow up with the story a little better. Like, it took place as if after the movie, they created a little story after the movie, so that kind of made sense. You know, that's what I was saying, like, or the second one didn't make sense at all. But we're done with the second one. First one was good. It wasn't the best, but it's decent enough to hit the list. Alright. So number 11, we'll have to go to Spider-Man 1. And I mean Spider-Man 1 Tobey Maguire series. I actually really enjoyed that game. I didn't know what to put it on, but I didn't know what to put it on, but it's gonna have to go on number 11. It was I enjoyed it. You know, the swinging. You know, it was like one of the first Spider-Man games, especially after the Electro shit. I never played the Spider-Man PS1 game, so that's why none of them is on this list. So y'all can rate, you can come at me in the comments all y'all want if any of y'all really care about Spider-Man and all that. I missed out on those. I never had a PS1, but yeah, the swinging was pretty basic. I admit, you know, I didn't like that you couldn't go to the ground. Like you could swing up top, but if you go all the way down too low, you just fall to your death. Like that didn't make sense to me. You know, but other than that, I did enjoy fighting the Green Goblin. That was fun. I enjoyed fighting Scorpion and who else is in it? Vulture and stuff. I enjoyed the fights that they had in it. That game was fire, so it wasn't a bad game. I went back and beat that a couple of times. And I did like the Oscorp levels when you actually become stealthy. You had to sneak around in Oscorp and stuff, and if the guys see you, they ring the alarm, and then the robots come and shoot you and kill you. I thought that was fun. I hated it at first, but then when I got used to it, I was like, this shit got fire. But that's it for the Spider-Man 1 Tobey Maguire series. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3, but the PS2 version. And the reason why I put that because PS2 and PS3 versions are two completely different games. I don't care what nobody says. But the PS2 version, I got number 10. That game was good. I enjoyed the swinging in it, the little boost you get when you swing in it. I enjoyed the fighting. I enjoyed the fact that the villains, the people that you're fighting, actually acknowledge the fact that you're wearing the black suit in this version, so they make fun of you and be like, hey, black suit, red suit, blah, 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 blah. You still gonna be sure? Yeah, we know. We know that you're delusional. But, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, my fault, on PS2, it was good. That was a good game, you know. I never went back to play it ever since I bought the PS3 version, though, I ain't gonna lie. So, next on the list, number 9. Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3 on the PS3. That one was better. I don't care what nobody say. That one was better. It was better. I enjoyed that game. I enjoyed fighting the Kingpin. That was my favorite boss in the whole game. Fighting the Kingpin. I would go back into that game just to beat all the fights again and fight the Kingpin all over again. You know, Kingpin was the guy. That was a tough ass boss. The fact that black suited Spider-Man was struggling against him, yeah, that shit was fire. Number 8, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 2, the original Tobey Maguire one, with Doc Ock and all that. That game was good. Had a lot of memories in that game. It was good. That was the game that I think that first introduced swinging around, like free roam and all that. Back then, the web swinging was pretty good. You know, it was just like Spider-Man 3 PS3's web swinging system. It was good. They had interesting villains in there. They had Mysterio. They had who else they had? They had Rhino. They had Shocker. You know, Black Cat wasn't really a villain, but they had her in it. So you get to run around with Black Cat a little bit. You know, I mess with that. You know, I did enjoy fighting Doc Ock and stuff like that. The final boss was extremely tough to me when I first played it. You know, and that's it. You know, Spider-Man 2 is a goated game. Number 7, Spider-Man Edge of Time. I enjoyed Spider-Man Edge of Time. I put plenty of hours into it. The only thing I didn't like was the repetitive fighting, but what made up for it to me was the storyline. You know, with Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man, they talking to each other inside each of their heads and all of that, and they working together from each end and all of that, and then Spider-Man supposedly dying from anti-venom, and then you see that in the beginning of the game, then Miguel O'Hara goes and tries to save Peter Parker, and then Peter doesn't listen, so then Miguel gotta go back to Peter's time and try to stops him from getting killed and all that. It was crazy. And then the final boss, you know, was like Atrocitus on Spider-Man, classic Spider-Man side, and then evil Peter Parker on Miguel O'Hara's side. And yeah, I thought that was cool. You know, they had some interesting villains in it. You know, they had who they had in it? I remember they had Black Cat. She was actually a boss in that. Anti-Venom. That's really it. It wasn't really much. You know, Dr. Octopus, Walker Sloan. That's pretty much it. It wasn't really that many bad guys in it. But it was a good game. Just gets repetitive with the fighting. So on to the next one. Number 6, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Nah, I enjoyed this game. The only thing that sucked about the game was the fact that it didn't have free roam. That's the only thing I didn't like about that game. There's no free roam. But other than that, that was fire. Like, that game introduced the multiverse of Spider-Man. That's what introduced me to the multiverse of Spider-Man games, or Spider-Man in general. You know, they had the classic Spider-Man. They had the black suit Spider-Man from another universe. The noir Spider-Man, a lot of people loved that one. He was the stealthy one who used to hide in the shadows and all that. And then the 2099 one, I thought all of those was good. Each level was a boss fight, but they were all like pretty long. You know, I enjoyed it. You know, I remember they had Deadpool in it. You know, they had Hammerhead. You know, Mysterio was the main boss. At the end, everybody tag team against Mysterio. It was a good game. You know, had Madam Web, you know, guiding all the Spider-Men to the tablets and all that, or the fragment or whatever it was. It was cool. You know, I messed with that game. Alright, number 5. Spider-Man Web of Shadows. This gotta be one of my favorite Spider-Man games. Spider-Man Web of Shadows. The one thing that made this game so unique was the fact that you could choose between being good or bad in that game. That was fire. Like, you know, it wasn't like Spider-Man 3. Like, you know, he went through the black suit changes and all that, and then he went back to normal. On the night, you could actually pick a good story or a bad story. Like, it affects his personal life in the game. Like, I remember, if you pick the bad side, you know, Black Cat becomes your girlfriend and not Mary Jane, and vice versa. If you pick the good side, I'm pretty sure y'all get that. And the bad ending, I love the bad ending. Spider-Man takes over the world with the symbiotes. Like, that was crazy, you know. But they did have some good people in the game. Like, they had Black Widow, they had the Wolverine, you know. Who else they had? Luke Cage. Like, yeah, that game was fire. You know, that game was fire. All right, so number 4 has to go to Ultimate Spider-Man. I loved Ultimate Spider-Man. You know, Ultimate Spider-Man was my game. I love that game. I still love it to this day. Had the comic book style and all that with the cutscenes, and then that was the game that I first played where you could play as Venom. You get to play as Venom in free roam, so like, say if you beat the game and all that, you could switch between Spider-Man and Venom, and you could terrorize the city and all that, and then next thing you know, the army try to come and kill you on some Incredible Hulk shit. Like, that shit was fire. You know, I remember they had Silver Sable in it, they had Electro, but the thing was, you actually fight Electro as Venom. That was a first. Like, you don't really see Venom fighting Electro like that, you know, so that was cool. You know, they had the stories between Spider-Man, or Peter Parker and Eddie Brock. You know, both of their fathers worked together, and they both died and all of that. So now they got like a vendetta against each other, but then they low-key kind of friends at the same time. But they always fighting each other. Like, yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. Good story, good game. I enjoyed it. Number 3, I have to go to Spider-Man Miles Morales. I enjoyed Spider-Man Miles Morales a lot. It was a really good game. The only thing I didn't like about it was the fact that it was short. It felt like a freaking DLC. Like, compared to compared to Marvel Spider-Man 1 and 2, like Miles Morales' game was mad short. You know, I did like the story. You know, his uncle Aaron happened to be the Prowler and stuff like that, and his friend Finn happened to be the main enemy of the game. She was the Tinkerer. You know, I thought that was cool. It introduced Genki and all of them to his into the Spider-Man franchise. You know, I didn't know anything about them like that before this game. I enjoyed the game though. It's fire. You know, it just should have been a little longer in my opinion. Number 2, Marvel Spider-Man 1. You know, Marvel Spider-Man 1. It was a great game. I put a lot of hours into that game, and you know, it's crazy. Start off fighting the Kingpin. Next thing you know, you got the Sinister Six and all that. You gotta fight Martin Lee and all of them. Yeah, the Dr. Octopus ended up being the bad guy. And the crazy part was the fact that, you know, he was working, like Spider-Man was working with Doc Ock before he became Doc Ock. And yeah, and he ended up being the villain of the whole game. Yeah, it was crazy. You know, so that was a great game. And number 1, I'm pretty sure y'all know I'm putting Marvel Spider-Man 2. I know some people might disagree, but hey, I'm only saying that because of the cuts. The cut scenes was good, and just like in the first one, the cut scenes was good, like dramatic fighting stuff and all of that. Being able to switch between Miles Morales and Peter. Then you get to play as Venom in that game. Like that game was almost like a combination of every game in the one. You know, like kind of. It had a lot of references from previous games from the Insomniac series. I did like that. Spider-Man getting the black suit, and then when he rips the black suit off, he rips it off kind of like the Spider-Man 3 movie scene. It was interesting, you know. It was interesting seeing that version of Spider-Man get taken over by the black suit and stuff like that. You know, it was cool. And then Craven made the game. He was over here hunting down the Sinister Six, and I think he was hunting down Black Cat and who else? I'm trying to remember, but he was intending to kill him, and he killed some of them. You know, I remember he killed Scorpion. I think he killed Vulture. Yeah, he was killing. He was a savage. Then Craven, he seen the black suited Spider-Man. That's when he started targeting him. And then next thing you know, Craven kidnaps Miles, and then black suited Spider-Man looking for Craven. He finds him. That was a crazy ass boss fight. And next thing you know, Peter go crazy after he defeats Craven. It was crazy. Miles and Peter had to fight. That was crazy. You know, my favorite part was with Venom too. Venom ate Craven's head. And then next thing you know, Venom took over New York. And that reference when he took over New York with their symbiotes reminded me of Spider-Man Web of Shadows. With the whole city being messed up with symbiotes and shit and having pods everywhere, that's some Spider-Man Web of Shadows shit. You know? That's why I really mess with it. And then the anti-Venom thing, so even though you lose the black suit, you technically get it back, but he doesn't be evil anymore. Like, I like that, you know? So, yeah, great games. All of them are great games. If y'all have any different opinions on what I got to say about these series, yeah, feel free to speak on it in the comment section. Other than that, like, share, and subscribe, and we up out of here.